Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to rebuild bottom coil heads for bottom coil clearomisers like the Protank, the GSH2 devices like these, Protank, and the Protank Mini, and I think there's various other devices out there like the Smock RO. They all use the same kind of bottom coil heads. And these are actually very easy to rebuild, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Now, what I'm using are pre-built coils. These coils are made by Coil. The good thing about these coils is they are set up perfectly, so you don't need to tinker with them, you don't need to set the spacing. It's all done perfectly for you to just install it straight away. These are what the coils look like. Just get some focus. As you can see, they're very well coiled, so it's just a matter of installing them inside the bottom heads. Now, as I said, these coils will this tutorial is applicable for any atomizer with bottom coil heads. So what I'm going to do is use an EVOD, and again, you can use the same technique for any bottom coil head. So let's open this up. Now the coil on the head on this device, it has a shorter top post, which you can take it off by hand, but I think it's easier to take it off by using a device like a wrench. So I'm going to use that to take it off. And there we go, it's off. Now, of course, with the longer heads there, you can take them off by hand quite easily. There we go. Now you notice that I actually left the head on the base itself. Now that just makes it easier to dismantle the top part. You don't need to do this, but it just makes things easier. Now the dismantlation is quite self-explanatory. We just take off the bottom post, like so, and then the rubber insulator. Now you might want to use tweezers for this, but it's actually quite straightforward to just take it off by hand. So I'm just going to pinch it and take it off. Now you don't have to be afraid of being careful with the insulator. It's made out of rubber, so it's quite flexible, so you're not going to rip it by pinching it out. And we'll take off the original coil. There we go, that's done. Now in some bottom coil heads you might find that there is an extra wick, an extra 2mm wick inside the body. Now that's largely there for locking purposes, so it's there to stop any leaking. The coils that we're going to use are 3mm coils. These are inherently leak proof. So because it's got a large area, you won't need two coils to stop the coil from leaking. And you'll find if you do have an atomizer which is leaking, the use of 3mm coils, it really does help. At this point, I think it's a good idea to get these cleaned. But let me just show you the dismantlation. So that's it, it's all dismantled. Now I'm just going to go and get these cleaned. Okay, so now all the components of the head have been cleaned. I haven't used anything like alcohol or anything like that. It's just plain water, and that cleans it straight away. And that means you don't get any old fluid residue or anything like that. Okay, so now it's time to rebuild the head. Now I'm going to use this pre-made coil, coil. Just get some focus. There we go, everything is pre-made and spaced out very accurately. Now the idea is to push both of the wires through the hole, like so, and then to carefully just push everything in. Now this is 3mm wick, so it's tight, and that's great because it will stop any leaking or any kind of unwanted liquid flow, which means it will provide better vapor and better throat hit. So just push that straight through. There we go. And then just pull the wires a little to get it tight, not too tight. Yes. And make sure everything is in the middle. As you can see, everything is done in the middle. And what I like to do is bend one of these wires over. That provides stability and rebuild. And we take the rubber insulator and push the open wire straight through. Then it's just a matter of pushing the rubber insulator in. There we go. Now don't worry if the rubber insulator is deformed, it's quite flexible, so it will regain its shape once everything is in. And then I just like to push the other wire, just bend it over here. We look back in, everything is still in shape, which is excellent. And finally, push in the bottom post. Now at this point, just kind of tug the wires a little bit just to make sure nothing is loose. And there we go, the bottom end is complete. If you look at the top, everything's in the middle, everything is evenly spaced, which is excellent, that's what we want. Now we just push in the top post. Now at this stage you might find that it might be a little difficult to push in the top end, but don't be afraid to use a hammer or some kind of pushing device. And it needs to be all in, so don't be afraid to tap it with something. So I'm going to use this to slightly tap it in. Okay, it's not all in, but we'll finish that in the end. Let's just take off the wires now. You can use scissors to take off the residual wire, but I find it's more convenient to just bend it back and forth and take it off like that. The reason for this is that it means there is no small residue of wire left, there's no wire sticking out. That can usually cause some shorts, but by this method you find that there's no wire sticking out at all, and that's really great. There we go. We do the same thing for the other side. Okay, that's excellent. Now, this is something that you need to be careful of. You need to make sure that the top post is completely in. As you can see here, there's a gap here. Yeah, that kind of gap can usually can sometimes cause leaking, and it's important to get it all in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick it back onto the bottom head, the bottom base. Sorry, just get some focus. Okay. What I'm going to do is just tap it in. It's easier to get it tapped in here. And there we go. So as you can see, it's all in now. And then just it's a matter of just pushing the top bung in. And that's it. The coil has been rebuilt, and we just cut off some of the residue. Yeah, it's better to just take it off first. That's it, the coil is completely built. Let's test it out. Stick it back in my EVOD. There's no liquid in here, so I'm just going to get some liquid. Okay, so just got my liquid, and I'm just going to refill my EVOD. Chocolate liquid. These do get addictive, these fruit flavors and chocolate flavors. It's almost as if you're addicted to the flavor rather than nicotine. Alright, push it back in. Now it's a good idea to let it settle for about 10 seconds so the wick actually soaks up the liquid. Right, so I'm going to use a Waymo. Let's turn it up. Pumped it up to about 3.6. Displaying about 2 ohms. You can see clearly there. Alright, let me test it out. Let's see what it sounds like. Sounds as it should. Wow, perfect. So that's it. Really great weight bar, really great throat hit. Yeah, so that's it. Coils, ready built, ready spaced. Makes rebuilding your bottom coil a piece of cake. And you get the perfect weight each time. So yeah, I've provided a link at the bottom for you to find where you can find them. You'll find them in various shops and in There's a link on eBay at the bottom. You can buy it from there. They're very cheap, $2.99 for 5, and you can get them cheaper if you buy more. Alright, take care and happy rebuilding.